This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on, and welcome to Take on the World with
Johnny Jukebox.
and Mike D.
What's up, y'all?
How y'all doing? Welcome back for another run.
Another run of the best podcast in the world.
We're still practicing.
This north of the Mississippi. Wait, what's the Mason-Dixon line? Is that the
It's not a Mississippi.
yeah, where is it? Missouri?
Mississippi?
Arkansas.
Arkansas?
No, where's the Mason-Dixon line?
It's Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Oh. Okay. North of the Mason-Dixon line.
There you go. That's much clearer for our fans.
Anywho, you got anything to update? Any new news?
No new news. I will encourage people to check out our Jack the Ripper update. Apparently, there is updates to the update after the update, which we haven't done yet because it seems like there's just going to be an argument back and forth about it. So
You will be fully up to date once you watch this. And the link, if it's there.
yeah, if it's there, because somebody sometimes forgets to put links in.
Well, you wouldn't want me doing this stuff, or half this shit wouldn't be on the internet.
But we had talked about in the past doing this particular spot in the world.
This one is very, very. This one,
Quite contrary.
I like this one a lot, I should say. This is probably one of my, I don't want to say favorite, but it's a favorite.
Okay.
Just from like a history standpoint and, mystique, and I don't know. I'm a dreamer.
What I found as I was going through it, like you have the basic information on the place, and then I was just about to pull away from my research, and I saw information on how they get the people there, which was interesting in its own right. And I was just about to pull away when I found out something else, and I was just about to pull away, then I found out something else, and I actually had to stop myself.
Yeah, like I said, you can really go
Yeah.
fucking on and on and on this.
So there may be a ton more information to this one that I missed.
But we only feed you the facts you need to know. That's it.
Yeah. If I didn't have it, you don't need to know it for real.
Just lost the history. Forget about it.
Yeah. Go sit with a historian.
Go get a real job.
So what we're going to talk about is, I'm going to try to say it in freaking French.
Oh, we should have can AI say it in French?
I could put on Google Translate,
Yeah, do that.
but
Or you just want to fuck it up?
I don't know.
Is that it?
Right there.
Oh God, I couldn't say that.
That's an I, not an L. It's illis du
Doigt
illis du salad.
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 Let's do salad.
It's an ill do salad. which
I'm overdue for a salad myself.
in English is Salvation Island. And there's nothing salvation about this island. It's known as Devil's Island Penal Colony.
Yes, that's more like it. Sounds so cooler in English.
Yes. So this operated from 1852 to 1953,
Ugh.
over 100 years. And this is, I would have to say,
Hardcore for one. There's no
the
one word to
armpit of the
describe it.
armpit of all prison colonies.
Of the crotch
Yeah.
of an armpit.
With venereal disease.
It's the smelly taint of an unwashed penal colony taint.
This is very dark history in the French prison system.
I love it.
Devil's Island is part of the Salvation Island archipelago. It consists of 3 islands. All 3 of the islands are part of the penal colony, as is part of the mainland. It is in French New Guinea or French Guiana, not French New Guinea.
And what? Let's say that's basically like a fucking jungle.
Yeah. They actually call the island. You jumped ahead a little bit.
Goddamn right I did.
Maybe a
What's
lot.
my name?
What was my Johnny Jump Ahead? Your name?
And we'll just go to page 12.
Yeah, we'll get there. But you're correct. They called it green something.
It's like that triple canopy. Can't see in, can't see out.
Yeah.
Everything's trying to kill you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That. I think that you probably mentioned this, but isn't that where the French Foreign Legion trains?
I don't know.
I know they do jungle training. And why not there?
Well, they probably watch the prisoners there too.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't specifically say that in my research, so let's not.
Well, no, I mean like recently, to this day.
Don't know.
We should do them motherfuckers one day.
I actually just watched the video on them. It's very interesting.
So cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, this place is notorious for the harsh conditions and a very high mortality rate. And when I say high mortality rate, you might think like 20% or 30%. Wow, that's a lot of people. It's 75% of the people go here die.
Yeah, that's
75% in its 100-year history have died here trying to escape from here. It's worse. Green hell. That's right there. It is. So, over its 100-year history, 80,000 prisoners were sent to this green hell, and that means 20,000 out of 80,000 survived this place.
You must be one hardcore bastard to survive this place.
But that's only the tip of it, because once you leave here, if you're lucky enough to leave this place, your sentence still carries on. You have to go to French Guiana and live there for so many years. And there's no jobs at the time. There were no jobs there. There's nothing. There was no way to make money, no way to feed yourself.
So it's like you
went from one hell to another.
Your life is that island then, or that island, but
that area of the world.
Yeah, South America, that little sliver of freaking.
Yeah.
So you survive your prison sentence, and like, you're not coming back to France. No way.
So
you have no family, you have no friends. This is your home. You may go now.
Yeah. Bye.
You know what do you say? It's like you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
So inmates face brutal treatment, tropical disease, and forced labor in this hostile environment. So that's just the overview of this. Excuse me for a second.
Yes, winter. It's brutal. Speaking of brutal.
So let's take a look at the prisons organization. So they had some famous inmates there who ended up being famous later. And this Captain Alfred Dreyfus, the Dreyfus Affair. I'm going to go over that at the end.
All right.
And what made his name so synonymous with this jail and why he's famous for it. And there have been a few successful escape attempts. Well, it wasn't an attempt then.
What can you still go there and visit?
Yes, you can.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I have pictures to throw in while we're going along. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, we're going to discuss how the Devil's Island became a symbol of inhumane punishment and why it finally closed in 1993. So we're going to jump into the history a little bit.
You said 93.
1953.
Okay.
I meant 53.
I heard 93.
I probably said 93.
All right. Anyways,
1953.
that's a long ass time.
Yeah. So this prison system kicked off in 1852. Prior to that, now this says it wasn't anything prior to that. It was abandoned, but it wasn't.
What were they doing before this?
Where?
Did they just have like mainland prisons in France, like traditional stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if France was the conqueror of New Guinea, or not. I keep saying New Guinea, Guyana at the time, French Guiana. I don't know when they took over that part of the world, but so they you'll see that they say there was nothing here before. It's not true. There was a leper colony on the island prior to this.
Jesus Christ.
So
that's true? There actually were leper colonies?
yes.
Wow.
So this was kicked off during the reign of Napoleon III. Now, Napoleon III is not Napoleon Bonaparte, but his last name is Bonaparte. He is Napoleon Bonaparte, like the Napoleon we know, like from history books. It's his nephew. So he rose to power, or the regular Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power through military success, while Napoleon III was first elected as a president and later became emperor through a coup d'etat. They both made significant impacts on French history. Bonaparte was remembered for his military conquest. Napoleon III is known for modernizing France's economy and infrastructure.
Was that you or me?
That was me. I was grabbing my beer. So if you look at these on the map, it's like they're right off the coast. It's 3 islands right next to each other. It looks like you could just
Oh my God. I just
almost hop
realized
from one to another.
that earlier I said it was an island, and I was like, no, I mean, they're on the coast. I'm an idiot. It's literally called Devil's Island, and I said it wasn't an island. I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought it was like attached to the coast.
So
anyways,
the Salvation Island came from the missionaries who were camped there working on the plague outbreak, was because it was a leper colony.
mm-hmm.
So that's where the name Salvation Island came from. It did not come from the prison that was put there after.
Yeah, I was going to say, what irony. There's nothing.
Yeah. There's
Has
no
nothing to do with
salvation
salvation there. Yeah. The only salvation you might get is a quick, painless death.
French Guiana itself was a sleepy French colony, mostly known for tropical forests and nothing else.
A sleepy French colony.
Someone
sleepy French.
I give up.
No more baby oil.
Good old Andre. Discovery of the island dates back as early as the colonial period. Didn't get much attention until Napoleon III decided to turn it themselves into France's version of Alcatraz on steroids.
Jesus.
So basically, they took the idea from Great Britain, sending all their criminals to Australia, to do the same thing here. Send them far away from France, where we don't have to think about them, we don't have to see them. They can complain all they want. Any one of their complaints would take months to get to us and probably fall in the water on the way back home.
Yep.
So the system is 3 main islands. It's Isle Royale, St. Joseph's Island, and Devil's Island itself. And plus there's some facilities on the mainland.
I like St. Joseph Island's nickname.
The Devourer of Men.
Like, what sounds worse, Devil's Island or the Devourer of Men?
Well, all 3 of these islands are like bad enough by themselves.
Were they all a part of the prison, the penal colony?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what I was talking about the other day?
Yes.
Okay, we'll touch on that later.
So each one of them have their own purpose.
Yeah.
And I think St. Joseph's may be the worst.
Okay.
Even though,
See, this is I didn't know this.
Okay.
I knew like a part of it, but yeah.
but there's also facilities on the mainland too.
Yeah.
Devil's Island itself is the smallest of the three.
Dude, what a mind fuck this is.
And Devil's Island was reserved for political prisoners.
This is just who thought of this?
I don't know.
That's what I'd like to.
But they were very organized.
Francois, yes.
Devil's Island became the namesake for the whole thing because political prisoners were sent there. They were the most protested because, of course, when you have political persecution, those are the people who were remembered the most. Which is why the Dreyfus affair, it was remembered so much.
Okay.
It started in 1852 when it opened its doors. It started receiving convicts from all over the French Empire. So it wasn't just from France, but from any place that France controlled.
Okay. Jesus Christ, you could probably be sent there for nothing.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely nothing.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
So the French government even cooked up this cool little policy. It was called doublage in 1854, which basically meant if you got sent there for 8 years, the minute you stepped on the island, it doubled your stay. So you got there for 8 years, now you got 16. So if you got anything more than 8 years, you basically got life.
That's fucked up. Did they say why they did that?
Because they're pricks.
Like, well, I mean, it's probably has some kind of psychological thing. Like, did they know that going in? Or why not just say you have 16 years on the island? Not like the minute you step on now. Oh,
well, some of the people being sent there were like Alcatraz. They were too rough for other prisons. They escaped from other prisons.
Yeah.
They became troublesome in other prisons. Now you're going here. It's their fuck around to find out. But now you found out you stepped on the island, your sentence just doubled.
Wow.
So, yeah. Well, buddy, you're exiled for life now.
Yeah.
The place quickly earned a reputation as the Green Hell.
Life sentence for stealing an apple because you're starving.
Yeah. We already talked about that. The death rate and the disease, tropic disease. Some of this stuff is in here twice because when I would research different aspects, the same information would keep coming up. And
yeah.
It wasn't just for hardened criminals either. Political prisoners, including 239 Republicans who ticked off Napoleon III, found themselves shipped off to this tropical nightmare just because they pissed off the emperor.
Be gone with you.
They told him, hey, you're naked. You're not wearing new clothes.
What is this new village you talk about? You'll find out.
What is going on? I want to talk to you about our latest sponsor, Smackin' Seeds. Look, I've been eating sunflower seeds for years. The one thing that has bothered me about seeds is the burn I get in my mouth from all the sodium. Now, the seeds I get from the gas station have like 1,920 milligrams of sodium in them. And I came across these seeds and I figured, hey, I'm going to try them out. And I got them. I popped them in. Flavor's great. Then I looked on the back and sodium per serving on this bag of their backyard barbecue, Smackin' Seeds, is 160 milligrams, as opposed to the ones I get at the gas station, 1,920 milligrams per serving. So when I use the ones from the gas station, I pop in a handful and I'm breaking them apart with my teeth and tongue. I'm spitting the shells out and I get a burn in my cheek and I get a burn in my tongue. Not with these. Same thing with the sour cream and onion. Same thing with churro. I also have jalapeno cheddar. I got a variety pack and I love them all. Nothing like them. So you need to check them out. So you go to smackinsunflowerseeds.com/TOTW pod. That'll automatically put our 10% discount code right in there. It'll ask you, you want the discount code? There it is, right there. Done. You got nothing else to do. You need to check out Smackin' Sunflower Seeds. They don't cost any more than the ones you buy at the store, but a lot less sodium, great flavor, big seeds. You can't beat them. So I added this because this wasn't in the original research, and I asked, well, how did they get to the island? And they said, well, they were put on a boat and they were taken on a boat. But when I was glancing through one of the websites I was looking at, they said the journey itself killed many of the prisoners going.
I can only imagine.
So first off, you're stripped of your identity.
Did they say how long it took?
3 months.
3 months. I'm sure
it's in here. I think it's in here.
Their cafe wasn't too great.
So they strip you of your identity. They treat you like cattle. They slap shackles on you. They toss you onto a ship with a bunch of other poor bastards.
Worse than cattle. They don't slap shackles on cattle.
Well, they stick them in the belly of the boat. They put them in these cages and just stack them on top of each other. I guess the main vessel they used for this hellish voyage was called La Martiniere.
Sounds so nice.
Yeah. It sounds like a nice cruise liner.
Yeah. La Martiniere.
It's you and 100 other convicts crammed into a glorified floating cage.
Oh, my God.
And the conditions were about as far from a luxury cruise as you can get.
Let's just be honest. There were no knishes on this.
There were no knish.
This is a knish-free cruise.
They would feed you stale bread, which you would expect because that's how things were. But they would also feed you brackish water.
Oh.
And the water,
just sick as shit.
The water was in barrels outside the cell. So you had to make your way through all these other fuckers in the cell, reach out and get the water out of the barrel with your cup.
Oh my God. That was probably so unsanitary.
Oh, it's disgusting. I would.
I know, like, from watching those, like, I Shouldn't Be Alive shows, like, you drink seawater, you fucking throw up.
Yeah.
Or it just makes you more thirsty because obviously it's full of salt. Oh.
So the sanitation, like imagine you're crammed in that close. One guy gets sick, whatever he has is going to spread through there like wildfire.
3 months of just pooping and peeing, not washing.
And then you got...
That's probably where they lost the majority of the people.
Mm-hmm. You got all these hardened criminals packed in next to each other like sardines. There's going to be plenty of fighting, bloodshed, and many people died just from getting beat to death while they were in transit. There was mutinies. The prisoners would try to take over the ship. It never really ended well. 1929, a group being sent to Angola actually attempted a mutiny. It didn't end well. A Portuguese cruiser put that rebellion down pretty quick, and I think
they just sank the whole ship.
I think they sank the ship, and they when they got bored, they just killed all the passengers.
Damn.
Now, I didn't look much into that one, so I could be wrong about that, but I think I heard that before. So, well, this says weeks. I thought the one thing said 3 months, but this says weeks. So that could be
weeks.
That could be 8. That could be 10 weeks.
Horrible. I couldn't even stomach the 16-hour drive to Florida. I was ready to frickin' just turn around and go back home.
After weeks of this floating hell, you finally reach French Guiana. Don't get excited, because your first stop would be the transportation camp at, I'm not even going to pronounce that.
Saint Laurent du Maroni?
Du
Maroni?
Du Maroni.
Macaroni?
There you were processed like cattle as well. They decide your fate on how dangerous you are and how shifty they thought you were. And they would figure out where you would be housed on what island. So now we get into how the tropical climate would affect your stay on the island. And now John and I both from experience can tell you do anything near the equator. And now these guys were forced into hard labor with no shoes in the jungle, and it's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And we were
mosquitoes.
We were voluntary labor. And
we had fresh, clean, cold, ice cold drinking water.
Yeah. Sometimes
food and clothing and shoes. And it was, let me tell you, it was some rough work.
When we weren't told we were drinking too much water.
Man, you drank all the water. Oh, I'm sorry. It's only like 150 degrees.
This place was hotter than Satan's armpit for sure. The heat was relentless, making every day sweaty and miserable for inmates before they started working. But there were the tropical diseases was what killing. So if anybody watched anything about the Panama Canal, the building the Panama Canal, the French started that and they gave up. And they sold it to us because they couldn't keep their workers alive because of yellow fever, because of malaria. So these bloodborne diseases from these mosquitoes in the heat, they didn't know how to handle them. But it was no different here.
Yeah, I remember reading it was something like, it seemed along the lines like 75% of deaths were from mosquitoes and malaria.
And so when Americans took over, there was a scientist who figured out what was killing people, came up with a vaccination for it, vaccinized, and we were able to build the canal with less deaths. Now, you didn't eliminate all of them, but you had less. So, it was the French. They didn't have the science to do it. I'm sure eventually they would have figured it out,
Sure.
but they did the same thing with the Panama Canal. So, but they didn't care because these were inmates. So,
wait, hold on. Was the Panama Canal was that prisoners?
No,
that was voluntary.
They had workers.
Soldiers?
They had paid workers.
Okay,
but they couldn't keep them alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, the real killers here were the tropical diseases.
God, could you imagine dying of malaria? That's got to be horrible.
Yeah.
Just, I don't even know what the effects are. Sweating, vomiting, you can't keep anything down, constantly thirsty.
Well, the yellow fever too. Like the yellow fever and malaria spread like wildfire then.
Ugh.
And the hot climate was the paradise for the mosquitoes. And they weren't just annoying, they were deadly.
Right.
So
like, I remember going to Canada and at nighttime, like as soon as the sun would go down and it got dusk, the mosquitoes would come out and they were like big mosquitoes. They were just relentless. And that's not even probably a touch of what these guys had to deal with.
right.
But I'd have like thick army cargo pants on and they just go right through those.
Yep.
And you just constantly.
Well, it's not just in that climate. When I went up to Alaska, the one day we were up there was I don't know, like 48 degrees when we got there.
Yeah.
And we went out to the first job site and I wore shorts and a short sleeves. I got chewed up, dude.
Yeah.
I got gnawed on. We just went out to look at the site. We're out of the truck for 5 minutes and I got chewed up. I had bites all up and down my leg.
That's maddening.
But that's not the worst of it because infections there were horrible because the heat and humidity was a perfect breeding ground for bacteria. So you had any small cut or wound, it could become a life-threatening infection very quickly. Ulcers would get infected and turn into gangrene. The vampire bats could even become deadly.
What the fuck is a vampire bat?
You've never seen a vampire bat? They're huge, huge bats.
What, do they bite you? Give you rabies and shit?
They scratch you, bite you, whatever.
God.
And then you had the tropical, the regular tropical diseases, which you have dysentery, typhoid, pneumonia. And the medical care was almost non-existent.
I'm surprised this place's death rate wasn't 100%. Well, I guess it kind of was because you never really left the island.
There was no way to escape from the heat. Like you couldn't, like I'm working outside all day. Now I'm going to go inside and sit in the cool
air conditioner,
the cool air conditioning, or I'm going to sit in the shade. You get in your cell where you're double chained, and the rocks have been baking all day in the sun. It's like an oven in there.
Jesus.
No ventilation.
I want to read that book, Papillon.
Well, that book, Papillon, was written by one of the inmates from here.
Yeah.
Johnny Jump Ahead.
Thank you. Now we don't have to touch on that.
Yeah, we do. Maybe. Malnutrition. You're the brutal heat with forced labor, and then you'd come back and you barely get any food. See, hygiene horrors with limited sanitary systems, constant heat, humidity, made maintaining hygiene nearly impossible. 75% fatality rate. We said already. Ironically, these islands were anything but salvation. So I want to talk about each island individually now. So you got.
Hold on. Let me back this up.
Okay.
What do we know what their food was like? Were they just fed more stale bread?
I didn't find.
Or I'm sure these motherfuckers would probably try to kill anything that they saw moving out there.
Well, it was a tropical island, so there's probably coconuts and
pigs, and I'm thinking.
Well, I don't know. There's not gonna be pigs on the island. They'd be hunted out quick.
True. Or like say they did find I don't know. You know how inmates be. It's like survival mode at that point.
Birds, maybe.
Birds, fish. If you're so lucky to get down to the coast.
Well, that was another thing. The reason why they're.
Okay. Well, go ahead. I'm getting off track here.
No, we could talk about that because I haven't touched on it yet. One of the reasons why it was so hard to escape from this place was even though it was so close to the shoreline and the islands were so close to each other, there was hordes and hordes of sharks that would swim around this thing, and the tides and currents were so strong that it made it almost impossible to swim. So you had to have a boat.
Damn.
Like you jump out there, you're going to get bit by a shark.
That alone would deter me completely. Unless I was just like, fuck it, I'm either
going to die here or die by a shark.
Yeah. Which doesn't sound all that appetizing, to be honest with you.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Sorry, I had a beer mishap here. So let's go over Isle Royale. It's the biggest island of the bunch. This was like the administrative headquarters of suffering.
Wow.
It was where new inmates got their lovely welcome to paradise of the Devil's Island. So the new inmates would come through here. It's also where the warden's house was. There's a big fancy house on a hill, and it was basically put there to rub in. This is what life should be, and this is what you'll never have again.
Damn.
It was also where the Crimson Barracks was, and the Crimson Barracks earned its name. If you earned a spot in this lovely establishment, you will need to show that you were among the worst, most violent, most uncontrollable inmates. Maybe you'd start some fights, attempt a few escapes, generally make yourself a massive headache to the officers. Keep in mind, this place was no joke. René Belbonnier, I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Wrote Dry Guillotine. It's a book. And he said, quote, in that one spot, more murders have been done than in any place on earth of such restricted space. And basically, more people have been killed in that small space than any place else on earth. And
that's another book I'm going to have to read. Was it called Dry Guillotine?
Yeah.
Rene Benoit?
Benoit. Or Benoit. This is the stuff of nightmares. It earned its blood-soaked name for good reason. Picture this, a hellhole where the worst of the worst prisoners are crammed together. It was like throwing a bunch of angered cats into a sack with hardened criminals instead.
Oh.
Said the violence was off the
Did you
chart.
see that?
What?
Read that right there. The first couple words.
Yes.
Okay, you knew that?
Yes. He's under my notable prisoners in the bottom.
Well, you get a cool straw hat out of the deal.
Yeah. The prisoner on prisoner brutality would make your head turn or your stomach turn. And that, I think that's saying something because this place was known to be violent to begin with. The conditions were absolutely brutal. The overcrowding was normal. Inmates were packed in like sardines in a tin. There was no such thing as hygiene. Disease spread like wildfire. The tropical heat made it even worse. And so it was like the boat coming over, except for longer periods of time. So to add a cherry on top of all of that on this wonderful island, there was a guillotine smack dab in the middle of the island. And that's nothing like a daily reminder that your head could roll at any moment.
Oof.
So the forced labor prisoners endured 12-hour workdays, often barefoot in the jungle. They were dehumanized by stripping them identities. They were a number, and that was it. That's the only way they were referred to. They were treated poorly and given inadequate food. The guards weren't winning any humanitarian awards. They often left the inmates to their own devices. The guards had significant power over prisoners, controlling every aspect of their lives. And they were freed to mete out physical punishment and as they wished. And they often looked the other way during prisoner conflicts. So you guys got a problem? Solve it, because I don't want to break a sweat.
Check out my hook when my DJ revolves it.
Yeah. Despite the harsh conditions, life on El Royale was considered relatively peaceful compared to the other islands.
Jesus.
Particularly, I'm not going to say why, but St. Joseph. I'll say Joseph. So.
Okay. Now, could you be like, you know, if you were not so, what am I trying to say here? Could you be transferred to like another island?
Yes.
Your status?
Absolutely.
So that's like
happened all the time.
You're going to the hole, which is not the hole. It's another island. It's worse than this one.
If you were a violent inmate, they sent you the Crimson Palace or the Crimson Barracks.
I'm probably assuming once you got there, it's either you're going up the chain of worseness and never coming back.
I don't think there was a downgrade.
Right. Yeah. You said it exactly how I meant it. I wonder, do you ever think that how fucking sick and twisted these motherfuckers might have been? Like, yeah, get in that fucking water and start swimming, motherfucker.
I bet it happened.
And just we'll take bets on
how far you get
before you get eaten by a shark.
I bet 10 stroke for him.
Oh my God.
So Isle St. Joseph, the devourer of men. That's really a charming name. To land yourself, you have to be, they keep saying you have to be the worst of the worst to land yourself here. It's really whatever punishment they want to dole out on you to where they're going to send you. This one I think is absolutely the worst. And I know you have a little insight on this one because you were telling me earlier.
Yeah.
This is the island has the home of famous camp reclusion, where they sent prisoners for punishment for trying to escape or committing other offenses in part of the penal colony. It was brutal. It was solitary confinement central, where they sent prisoners to lose their minds. The cells were tiny, like 1 or 2 square meters. It was so bad, they call it the Island of Silence. You were forced to live in complete silence and darkness, which would drive me fucking crazy. Imagine being stuck in a box, not allowed to talk, sometimes not even allowed to sit, You had to stand. The cell was so small you had to stand. You couldn't even sit.
Jeez, that's not a cell.
No.
That's a tomb.
Yeah, a standing tomb. Temperatures hitting over 40 degrees Celsius, and that's 104 degrees freedom.
That's a lot of freedom.
Tropical storms, all the nasty weathers. No, the people who went here went nuts. But you were also telling me that some of these cells were open pits in the ground with cages over your head.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go with that.
And I guess the COs would just walk on top of you and just do whatever to you.
And the giant centipedes would drop in on you.
Yeah.
And those are poisonous.
What was the one I was telling you? It was this is from a documentary I watched. But it was like a communal cell, like say like the size of this basement, right? And kind of like the old PRC. And I guess they would have bunks, so to speak, and they'd wall them off with towels and shirts, and they could do whatever they want there. And I think like the officers could indulge if they wanted to, or punish if they wanted to, or just turn the other way if they wanted to. But there was like orgies, stabbings, gambling. There were like monkeys. Like it was like a fucking like sideshow circus orgy fucking free for all kind of deal. I mean, you just put what would 100 guys in the same room with a life sentence do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember what island that was on, but I remember the guy talking about it. And he said it was like just disgusting. But they were allowed to do it.
Did I missed Devil's Island.
You did? How'd you do that?
I don't know.
Oh, Mikey.
You were rushing me. Because I went right down to notable inmates.
I don't know how you missed it.
I don't either.
Did you write it?
No. But Devil's Island was just like these. Like
maybe that was the island that had this sex dungeon murderous.
It could be. Like they only gave short descriptions of what was on the island. I had to dig around to find different stuff. I had to go like 5 or 6 different websites to find different stuff about the amenities.
So what were they doing as far as labor there?
Yeah, I
just like
maybe building other parts or
harvesting wood.
Could I don't know. Maybe they took them to the mainland and did
tobacco plants,
stuff in the jungle. I don't know. Probably why there's no jobs on the mainland. All the inmates are doing it.
Yeah. Damn.
Maybe they were making tires for Ford.
Shit.
So some notable inmates over the years. Now I mentioned Alfred Dreyfus, and I put a little bit of his backstory here just because I think it's interesting to know. He was a well-known political prisoner on Devil's Island. He's a Jewish French army officer who was wrongly accused of treason. Spent 4 years incarcerated there from 1895 to 1899. During his time on the island, he wrote a journal and over 1,000 letters. Here were the key events that led to Alfred Dreyfus's wrongful conviction in 18. This dude was railroaded, like out the ass. In 1894, French intelligence discovered a secret military document, the Bordeaux, had been sent to a German military attaché in Paris, indicating a French officer was committing treason. Despite weak evidence, Dreyfus had been accused based on questionable handwriting analysis and an anti-Jewish prejudice. He was arrested on October 5th, 1894. Major Herbert Henry created forged documents to strengthen the case against Dreyfus. A secret file containing some of these forged documents was shown to the judges, but not to Dreyfus's defense. Court-martial was held in secret, preventing public scrutiny. Key points included unreliable expert testimony from Alphonse
Bertillion?
Bertillion about Dreyfus's handwriting. Major Henry's dramatic false testimony swearing to Dreyfus's guilt. The judges were not allowed to see any exculpatory evidence. On December 22nd, how many days is that? It's like a month and a half.
7 days. No, I lied. It was October. Yeah, like almost 2 months.
Dreyfus was unanimously convicted of treason by 7 judges, sentenced to life imprisonment, and kicked out of the military, basically. The wrongful convictions set off the infamous Dreyfus affair that would divide French society for years to come. I did not go deeper than that into it because that would end up being a show on its own.
Sure.
But he eventually prevailed and was let out. And I think the charges were dropped against him. He was exonerated. But
how many years did he have to spend?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years in hell. The next one was the one you showed me. Henry Charrier.
Charrier. Yeah, I think that's how I say it. Charrier.
So he's the one who wrote Papillon.
Which means?
Puppy on my belly? I don't know.
No, it means butterfly in French.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I knew that and I forgot it, and then I knew it and didn't.
I'm surprised I remembered how to I think I remembered how to say his middle name.
Although his account is disputed,
really?
Charrier claimed to have escaped from Devil's Island. His best-selling book, Papillon, was detailed his alleged experience and escape, and they also made the movie.
Yeah,
Papillon, which was is it George Peppard in that?
I don't know. I don't know the actor's name. Anyway, some dude.
So while we're here talking about Devil's Island, you can
no, it was oh my god, what the hell's his name? He was in all those Taken movies. I have a set of set of skills.
Liam Neeson?
It was Liam Neeson. He just said the same thing. I have a particular set of skills. One is my body is not able to catch malaria.
I'm gonna look it up.
Fuck.
Because you're killing me. You're killing me. PAP.
2. I don't think 104 degrees freedom is that hot.
It's a 1973 film. Cast. Dustin Hoffman, Steve McQueen.
Oh, it was way off.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah. That's what I said. It was
Rain Man?
It was actually an odd couple because Steve McQueen, I get, because Steve McQueen was in all those kind of movies back then. But Dustin Hoffman, I
must have been super young.
I felt was very odd. Anyway.
Yeah, I like him.
It's been years since I've seen that movie. I think I might want to watch it again. Anyway, the next one was Renee Belbenoit. It's probably pronounced so different than that.
Belbenoit.
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 It's Benoit. That ballast.
Benoit.
Because that's how Chris Benoit's name was spelled. Spade. But it's maybe Billy. I don't know.
Billy Wah.
One of the most renowned escapees wrote 2 memoirs about his experiences: Hell on Trial and The Dry Guillotine. 15 Years Among the Living Dead. Clement Duval, the anarchist sent to Devil's Island in 1886. He escaped on 1901, fled to New York City, and he wrote the book called Revolt about his imprisonment. Who are the other notable inmates? Charles de Rudio, probably pronounced different, in prison for assassination attempt of Emperor Napoleon. He later escaped, eventually joined American Army. Francis Lagrange, a painter and forger who wrote about his experiences on Devil's Island. Bernard Carnot, allegedly wrongly convicted for murder, sent to Devil's Island in 1922. He escaped, reportedly aided by an American sailor, William Willis. So
wow.
I know some of the names because of the books, like the Belle Benoit. I recognize the name. I recognize the Dry Guillotine. I recognize Papillon, obviously. And I know the story of this other cat.
We just didn't cover the actual island that this thing's named after.
And I'm remiss. I messed up. I have to apologize. I could probably pull something up quick, and
I mean, I would think it's
pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Worst of the worst, blah blah blah. But I think of all the 3 islands, if you had to be on one, like if you had to be there, that's the one you wanted to be on.
Right.
Like, not that it was a playhouse. It's just, if you had to be there, I wouldn't want to be in solitary confinement, and I don't want to be in a big building where they're fucking slaughtering each other.
Did you ever find that information on, like, I swear there was a one guy, like, almost like he was a lifer, but they, like, let him build his own house up in the.
No, you told me about that last night. I didn't have time to look it up.
And he's just
like towards the end of his life, he just went off and lived by himself on corner of the island.
That's what they do to him. Maybe they just felt sorry for him. I'm like, oh man, you survived all that.
It doesn't seem like there's much compassion.
Yeah.
Unless he was one of the last guys there in like 1953.
I've been here so long. I've counted all the blocks in my cell. Yes, but have you named them all?
How many dimples does each one have?
Have you made sweet love to all of them?
So that is the Devil's Island. And like I said, there's probably so much more to this.
I know. This could have been like a 4-hour episode.
We really condensed it because we're trying to keep our episodes a little bit shorter.
Yeah, we'll give you the gist, just enough steak to make your chops fucking drool.
To make you order something else.
Yeah, that's right.
Like just have that one more beer.
I tried to have that one more beer last night.
You just left it on the counter.
Left it on the counter, unopened.
Hey, who has this warm beer here? No, it's hard. It's hard to know where the line should be.
Yeah.
In my research, and apparently this time is not researching the main topic.
Well, the way you research this, if you went full on, it literally probably would have been like 4 hours, and you're like every little detail. But I learned some stuff from this. Like, I did not know it was 3 islands all in conjunction with each other, so that was cool. I learned a new book I want to get. This Dry Guillotine, and the think, like you said, the Devil's Island probably was but I would assume if you fuck around, you're going up the. It's not going to get.
The fact is, if you get sent here, you've already fucked up someplace else.
Yeah, and so say you get sent from the mainland or main island to Royale. Was that the one that was solitary confinement, no talking?
No, that's St. Pierre.
Could you imagine? I don't think you'd be coming back from that.
No.
Like you're.
If you fuck up and you go there, I think you're there.
Yeah, you're there for. Could you imagine living out your existence there, standing all the time, and then what do they do during the day? I don't know, hard labor.
Because there's facilities on the mainland too. So you get sent there, you might be put in the facility on the mainland. You might not go out to the island yet. And if you fuck up on the mainland, you get sent out to Devil's Island. You fuck up on Devil's Island, then you might be going to the Crimson Barracks. And you fuck up enough there, you might be going to St. Pierre, standing in a 2x2 cell with deadly freaking giant centipedes dropping on you.
Fuck that. Yeah. That is so. And can you imagine just standing there while some jerk off fucking CO is just being a prick, and there's nothing you can do, and he's just fucking with you, and you just have to be like, yes sir, no sir, or whatever.
Well,
I assume it's pretty militarized like that, and he's just like beat you fucking relentlessly. Yep, pick up that pile of stones and move it over there.
but because that's how those places are, that's why the movies always pictate COs as pieces of shit.
Well, I'm sure there were also stand-up guys that,
I don't know.
sadistic bastards. But there absolutely are fucking
Turd bags.
get off on that kind of shit. I don't know.
I've been doing it a long time, so.
So,
That's
I
it.
feel like we should report from the field. We should visit Alcatraz.
Yeah, well, first we'll go to Alcatraz, then we'll fly to South America.
You seen any FEMA flights down there?
No.
Oh. Yeah, that's a pretty good episode. That was fun.
I don't think there's any FEMA flights going anywhere right now.
No. I don't think there's any more FEMA.
There's still a FEMA. Just everything's on lock right now. Got to find the issues. So, well, we took that on. And you go take on the world, but don't go to Devil's Island and do it.
Mm-hmm. You just get me taking on malaria.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick.